Hi, it's Amy. Welcome to Strength Reversed. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm going to do a quick VR. Well, it might not be as quick as I thought because my initial intention was to do a VR to Jason at Tarot by the Pines. He has a tag called hashtag private tarot decks where you talk about decks that you only use for yourself. And then as I started making the video, I thought about a video that Saturnarium just put out about how she chooses tarot decks. And as I watched her video, I realized that I choose tarot decks in a much different way and kind of approach it differently. So I'm going to kind of talk about the decks that I use to read for other people with, or the decks that I only will use for myself. Okay. Yeah, I'm on spring break and I have felt completely unmotivated this last week to do anything more than like drool on myself. I made it to the beach for a day. I'm a little bit sunburnt. I'm a lot sunburnt because I was reading a book and I read a whole chapter, and it's a long story. But so anyway, the decks that I use for other people when I read are usually Rider-Waite-Smith-esque decks, because those are decks that I know are going to speak to me. I'm always going to be able to get something out of it, even if it's just the traditional meaning. Now, there's only one deck that I usually don't use for other people anymore, and that is my Grand Dame, as Jason would call it, the Robin Wood. Now, this is my original deck that I've had for a long time and many decades, and this used to be my go-to deck for everything. Of course, I didn't do a lot of reading for other people for quite a while, but I would have had no problem initially reading for other people with this deck, because it is a standby. It is my go-to. It's my first love. It's my gold standard. But I feel like getting a little bit, she's reaching her golden years and she's a little bit finicky. She's sort of semi-retired, and I can tell more and more that this deck doesn't really like to read for other people, and it doesn't like low budget questions. You have to come to it with a serious, sincere question, and it doesn't really play around a whole lot, but it is so beautiful and gentle, and this is a deck that I just kind of keep to myself, and that's how I think this deck prefers it now. I don't think my decks are people, but I do think my decks have personalities that I sense, almost like an aura or something like that. So this deck is probably the one deck that is my most private tarot deck that I won't use for other people, just because I feel like it's mine and I don't want to share. There are some other decks that I won't use for other people because I just don't think that they really speak to me in that way. Now, I don't choose decks based on the type of reading I'm doing. So it's not like if it's a love reading, I'm going to go to a certain deck. It's just whatever deck I feel is calling to me that day. That's how I choose. But this deck, my Tarot of the Weird deck, I just did a walkthrough of this. This is a deck that really gets me thinking about past lives and really kind of inner work, and this to me doesn't really call for if I'm reading for other people. It's just something that makes sense to me, and that's how I like it. I don't like to gunk it up with it's all for my own gunk gets in there. The other decks that I would read for other people with, but don't usually, I usually stick to Rider-Waite-Smith decks, or decks like that, or the Light Seers. These are decks that are just, I'm going to get something out of the cards. And, you know, especially when I've read at fairs, you know, like festivals and stuff, and they're quick readings and you just need the cards to talk. And if someone hasn't had a lot of experience with the cards or they don't read themselves, I feel like they're expecting to see certain images. And so if you use a weird tarot deck that's not the standard images that everyone knows, I feel like it's a little bit weird for them. Or if it's something that's particular to, like, I'm not going to pull out the Golden Girls Tarot at a venue like that. This, sometimes if I read for someone, I might feel like, oh, I'm not sure what deck. Here, you pick out of these. And they might say, oh, I like this. And then I'll read with that deck. But otherwise, I just kind of feel like, here's what I'm reading with today. So when I was watching Saturnarium's video, she talked about picking the deck according to the querent and according to, she assigns astrological signs to her decks, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. But she said that she picks decks that she feels that the querent can identify with the imagery. And I'm kind of the opposite. I choose decks because I'm the one doing the reading, where I identify with the imagery. And although I don't want to choose a deck that's going to put someone off, or that has imagery that's a little bit out there, I'm trying to think of a deck besides my Tarot of the Weird. I might not pull out the Santa Muerte Tarot unless someone chose this for themselves. Or I don't really do like Halloween. I don't have like Halloween decks that I use around Halloween or anything like that. But if it's just like someone, you know, coming, you know, asking me for a reading, I'm probably not gonna put this in front of them and have them be like, what? You know, that's, you know, I get it, but I'm not sure if they would like it. But I would totally pull out a Light Seers or something, even though it's not traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, because I think it's just user-friendly. Again, like with my Titanic Tarot, that might be specific, and I wouldn't maybe choose it if someone didn't actually want that deck. But I choose decks according to what I am feeling at the moment, because I'm the one who has to convey the message to the querent. And so really the symbols on the images and symbols have to speak to me. And what speaks to me and what has meaning for me might not be the same to them. So I don't feel like if they are, you know, a Scorpio, that I have to have a Scorpio type deck, or that if they are, you know, talking about, you know, a relationship, that I have to have a deck that's like flowers and hearts and stuff like that. I don't feel like. I feel like I'm going to convey the message that the cards tell me that they need to hear. And so the symbols have to speak to me and not necessarily match their life. But check out her video, because she has a different take on things. And so it was really interesting to hear how she approaches decks, because I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, that's cool. But thanks, Jason. So this is my only super private, only for me, hands off, don't touch it. I'll slap your hand away if you reach for this deck. The other ones, if they're speaking to me, I'll use them for other people. Does that, you know, it's just one of those things, like, I know what I'm talking about, but oh my gosh. Come on. You guys know I'm just that person. I know what I know what I mean. Okay? I'm a legend in my own mind. Okay, you guys, I will talk to you soon, and I will catch you with my quarterly catch-up for January, February, March sometime in the near future. That's my goal, sometime in the near future. Bye, guys.